The hills outside of Asheville are abuzz with news of the first new Dodge in a decade. Meet the Hornet, the American brand's all-new compact SUV. It might be small, but the Hornet plays a big role, introducing the brand's first electrified powertrain into the quickest growing segment on the market. Let's go for a drive. So Dodge is pitching the Hornet as the fastest, quickest, most powerful SUV you can buy under $30,000 in America. So that's only technically true because it doesn't include the destination fee, which is $1,595. But even still, that's a pretty low price for getting the GT, which comes with a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, which produces 268 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. Plus, all-wheel drive is standard, so that means that the Hornet grips and goes about as well as anything that's not a muscle car at this price. In fact, the Hornet goes so well that you run into a bit of a problem with the 9-speed automatic transmission not being able to keep up. The 9-speed is fine for everyday use, but even in sport mode, it's a little tardy on the uptake. So if you floor the throttle, you'll have to wait a little bit for the transmission to really respond. Even still, the Hornet does feel more eager than most other options in this class, with a quick steering ratio and good balance through the corners. The track pack adds a 2-stage suspension system with a stiffer setup in sport mode. Brake feel is good with consistent stopping power even at the end of long downhill runs. There's some initial low-speed gloopiness in the steering, but work past that, and the Hornet is actually kind of fun. Alright, so that's performance sorted, but this is a crossover we're talking about. So how does the Hornet work as a family hauler? Dodge calls the Hornet a compact, but like the related Jeep Compass, it is a little smaller than most everything in the class. You don't notice that too much up front, as there's a good amount of headroom and legroom, but there is a feeling of narrowness to the cabin, and that sort of does give a hint further about how the Hornet feels in the back. The seats are also pretty narrow, enough to make me question whether I should really have that second helping of the bourbon chocolate brownie at lunch. I do really enjoy the feel of the optional Alcantara seats, and the really extroverted people among us can always buy the bright red leather option. Pop into the back, and while there's an okay amount of space for adults, it does feel a bit like a cave, which is mostly due to the really high window line. The cargo area is also a little on the small side, and people who opt for the plug-in hybrid will miss out on the underfloor storage. So we've gone this long without talking about how the Hornet looks. If you've seen the related Alfa Romeo Tonale, then you know what to expect. The designers have done what they could to differentiate the American model. There's the vented hood and the mail slot grille, which gives serious Charger vibes, and there are unique wheels that really ground this design. But at the end of the day, the Hornet sings the Star-Spangled Banner with an Italian accent. And this being Dodge, all the paint names are fun and games. This tester is Acapulco Gold, and there's other choices like Hot Tamale, Cue Ball, or Gray Cray. Material quality is generally good. It's not as nice as the recently refreshed Compass, but it is more consistent than something like, say, a Toyota RAV4. Uconnect 5 continues to be one of the very best infotainment systems out there. Dodge fits a standard 10.25-inch central touchscreen in the Hornet with a subtly different aspect ratio from the unit in the Durango. The main menu controls are now on the left side of the screen for easier driver access. The custom layout can be half and half or a triptych affair, depending on the user's needs. Folks can save multiple user profiles here, which includes preferences like radio stations and such. Both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are available, and they're wireless to boot. Models with the native navigation will push turn-by-turn instructions straight to the driver instrument panel as well. So the other option is the Hornet RT, which introduces a 1.3-liter turbocharged engine paired with a 15.5 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Now this plug-in hybrid ends up making 288 horsepower, and when fully engaged, you'll get 383 pound-feet of torque in something that is, well, pretty darn small. Just for reference, that's about as much torque as you'd get in a Jeep Grand Cherokee V8. So the RT has a few unique features. For example, the Sport Mode button is no longer on the steering wheel. Here you have eDrive modes, so there's a few different driving modes now. Sport Mode has now moved down here beside the Start-Stop button. Another unique feature in the RT are these wonderful all-aluminum shift paddles. They're totally not Italian. But you know what? I'm not going to complain because Alfa makes the best shift paddles. And these are long, so they're easy to reach no matter how you're turning. And they have this really nice activation that's a nice little flick. Right, down, up. It's very satisfying. So the Hornet RT has something of a dual personality. On one hand, being a plug-in hybrid, you can drive around 30 miles on nothing but electricity, which is about 50 kilometers for Canadian viewers. On the other hand, the RT has a funny little feature called Power Shot, which gives you an extra 15-second boost of 30 horsepower. So all you have to do is pull on both paddle shifters at the same time, like so. Icon shows up in the instrument panel telling you that Power Shot is available, and then here you have to put your foot to the floor for it to turn green, like this. Turns on, you get 15 seconds of an additional 30 horsepower, followed by a 15-second cooldown time. Best of all, you can do this at pretty much any time, as long as the battery is at 40% charged or more. You do feel the extra weight in the RT though from that battery pack, but on the flip side, that battery pack does add weight that's fairly low down, and it's in the back of the vehicle, so it actually improves the weight distribution. At launch, the Dodge Hornet will be available from $31,590, including destination. For those buyers who need a good amount of power in a small SUV, that's a pretty wicked deal. The GT Plus is a bit of a tougher sell at $37,085. However, it does come with most everything you'd want in the class, including things like a power liftgate, wireless charging, navigation, heated and ventilated front seats, and an upgraded Harman Kardon sound system. When the RT arrives, it will keep those same pricing gaps between base and plus trims, but just add an additional $10,000 to the bottom line. It may be eligible for some level of tax credits as well. Canadian pricing kicks off from $40,190 for the GT, or $46,190 for the GT Plus. At the time of recording this, however, we did not have pricing for the RT. Ever since the Journey disappeared from Dodge's lineup, the brand has badly needed a compact SUV. The Hornet more closely aligns with the brand's performance-oriented reputation, and it fills that spot really well. It's entertaining, it's charming, and it's stuffed full of easy-to-use technology. Now, Dodge knows that this won't appeal to everyone. It's a little tight inside, and the material quality doesn't quite match up with the best in the class. But shoppers who are looking for an SUV with a bit of character will definitely find that in the Hornet.